Like they'll say like, oh, you use endorphins, you know, on a runner's high. Like, okay, is that the only time you're using it? Like
Right.
somebody went for a run one time and that's when that endorphin turns on? I bet you it's turning on in small amounts throughout the day. All right, so let me play the clips and let her kind of break it down.
You were born with billions of neurons, but very few connections between them. We build those connections from life experience, and those connections tell us how to turn on our happy chemicals. For example, we're all born helpless and vulnerable, and when we're hungry, our glucose falls and we have an explosion of cortisol that makes us cry. But when we cry, something good happens, something that meets our needs. We get some delicious milk, and that builds a pathway in your brain. That's the experience that says, wow, something is good for me and delicious. What is this stuff? And the next time you feel bad, you have a pathway in your brain that turns on. It's like, I want more of that stuff. That's what I need to meet my needs. But when you're a baby, you have no way of getting it. So you feel desperate again. Your cortisol turns on. You cry. And guess what happens? You hear your mother's footsteps. And that's the next experience that builds a pathway in your brain. And now, the next time you hear your mother's footsteps, you stop crying because your brain has a pathway between that sound and the experience of meeting your needs. And all this happens without you ever needing to know what milk is or what a mother is. Over time, they build your neural network. And when you think about what it takes to feel good and what it takes to survive, that's what your brain knows. Now, you may be thinking, yeah, but what it takes to feel good and what it takes to survive are not always the same thing. But the operating system you've inherited from your mammalian ancestors thinks they're the same thing. And that's why our brains are all a little quirky.
That's why you're fucking nuts. That's why you're a spaghetti-brained idiot.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's one that I've thought about for a really long time, where we have been trained, which is not ideal because there's other species that don't have the same problem where you cry and you get rewarded. Guess how that works out for the rest of your life? Oh,
Right.
not good.
Right.
You know, if you become this drama creator for the rest of your life and that's how you get rewarded, you just end up being a spoiled brat that needs desperate attention. Pay attention to me. I'll cry if I don't get my way.
Yeah.
Like, what's weird is that works as a baby, and then eventually, as we get independent and adults, you have to like train your brain again.
I know, yeah.
The same mechanism again, but to a different reward system.
It feels like humans are like a million years in the past. You know what I mean?
Right.
You look back at the monkeys a million years ago, like, oh man, there's so much that they're doing wrong, that there's so much needs to be developed.
Right.
It's like I feel like a million years from now, humans are going to look back and be like, oh man, remember when they still had the monkey brain, they had the wiring all
Right.
fucked, and it hadn't evolved to kind of be more refined.
Right.
When you were born, your brain was very soft. So everything that triggered your happy chemicals built a little pathway in your brain.
Like crack.
So something that triggered your dopamine built a little pathway. One day your oxytocin was triggered, built a little pathway.
Smoke a little
Something
meth.
that triggered your
Smoke a little
endorphin,
speed.
your serotonin, a little more
Little
dopamine.
crack.
But anything that happened to you again and again, that pathway built bigger and stronger. And so over time, you ended up with a neural network
Oh, it's
that
a
told
brain.
your brain that's how
It's
to
your brain
turn
on
on your happy
drugs.
chemicals. You may be thinking, that's not me. I don't rely on my old pathways to decide what's good for me. Well, to understand the power of these pathways that build up big over time, we need to zoom in even closer.
And now you know, kids.
I just love her.
Now you know. Don't fucking smoke
Don't
drugs.
suck.
Or
Don't
that's
do
what you're-
crack.
That's what your brain will look like. All right, let's go on to the
Wait, pause. What the hell was she even saying? I wasn't even paying attention.
Just
'cause I was
that
laughing so much.
you're just the pathway thing.
Yeah.
But by the time you're fucking 12, you're fucked. It's already it's built into your brain, and it just gets harder and harder to rewire. But they
Right.
talk about the neuroplasticity, like as you're an adult, even if you're 70 or 80, you can still rewire it. But it's like
Okay, yeah.
crazy repetition. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
when you're younger, the brain is soft, it's very malleable. You got the
Yeah.
environment, you got your type, you got your parents, you got whatever. By the time you're 15, it's pretty much kind of set.
Right. So the positive thing is that your brain is so malleable, but the negative is that it goes off of instant pain. If you're getting instant pain off of something or instant pleasure, it's going to go to that. So you have to use your human mind and step outside of the instantness of it. But do know, once you spend more time going against the instant pleasure, that eventually you can create a new neurological
Right.
pathway
But
that makes it easier to go
You've
down
got to
that road.
like force it. You
You
got to
do.
do the training. You don't get the
Yeah.
freebie anymore.
Yeah.
Endorphin is curious. We've heard a lot about it in the context of runner's high, but it's interesting to know that endorphin is only released when you're in pain. That doesn't seem to make sense, and we'll talk a lot more about it later. But it's very easy to imagine an animal that's bitten by a predator and needs to run away. It needs all its energy, and endorphin masks pain with a great feeling. And that helps us survive. You've probably heard a lot about endorphin in the context of runner's high, and it's frustrating to think about how we're not meant to be enjoying endorphin all the time. In fact, the word endorphin means endogenous morphine. Endorphin is chemically like morphine, which means also heroin, Oxycontin, in the way that dopamine is like cocaine. Now, it's easy to see that we're not meant to be stimulating these chemicals all the time. Our brain is not meant to be releasing these all the time because endorphin masks pain. When your endorphin is flowing, you can run from a predator even though you're injured, and that promotes survival. So imagine you're a caveman. You broke your leg, and you need to get out of a hole so that you can get help. But you don't want to run on a broken leg. Endorphin masks pain for about 15 minutes. And that makes the caveman able to climb out of the hole and get to a place where he can call for help. And after 15 minutes, he feels the pain. Pain is important information. It tells you not to run on a broken leg, not to touch a hot stove. It tells you to protect yourself when you're doing something that might be threatening, but endorphin masks the pain just long enough for you to meet your survival needs. Endorphin evolved for emergencies, just like dopamine evolved only for you to take steps toward rewards rather than sit on the couch and float all the time or to run after everything.
That's one that I feel like I have to build that. Like that's something that I've had to do very consciously on purpose of like, okay, here are the bad emotions. Go into my human mind to resolve these bad emotions.
Right. So I wasn't seeing like any one of these equaling like a function or a human need or whatever, but I was seeing some more than others. Like for example, when we get to the serotonin one, like the serotonin was what Jordan Peterson talks about when the lobsters get defeated, they drop in serotonin. So now they're the beta lobster, and then the pumped up serotonin one is now the alpha lobster. Like, okay, seeing some like DI tribe stuff in there. Yeah. And so I was kind of seeing parts of functions or human needs or whatever.
Interesting.
But I'm wondering like if we really kind of understand all of the neurochemicals that are going on here, because there's more than just 4.
Yeah, right.
But like understand them beyond a, you know, Google Sheets slideshow. Like I feel like I'm just kind of stealing shit off the internet. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we can get to where we really get it, like, okay, I wonder if these two equals this.
Endorphin is hard to stimulate in healthy ways. Exercise stimulates it, but only if you exercise to the point of pain. That's not safe because your body adjusts, so it takes more and more pain to get the endorphin. We're better off saving endorphin for real emergencies. Fortunately, laughing and crying stimulate a bit. You do not want a crying habit because that floods you with cortisol. Laughing is great, but only a real belly laugh stimulates endorphin. So instead of wasting time on cynical chuckles, find something that cracks you up and make room for it in your life.
But I laugh at cynical chuckles. What if that's what's funny to me?
Too.
Am I doing it wrong?
Right.
I am laughing at cynical chuckles. Oh, you got the wrong hormones going there. You're gonna fuck your brain off. Yeah, see, it's like it still feels kind of like who's going to be able to take this and be like, okay, so tomorrow morning I know what I'm going to do. I feel like I'm not quite there yet.
I got to go create non-cynical chuckles.
Yeah, and then another thing too, like essential oils, dark chocolate. That was another thing that we saw, like watching videos on this shit is like different foods and can help build the building blocks for these chemicals.
Just when you thought you weren't a computer. I mean, that's the stuff that is so interesting to me that I saw the same thing. Like when I was going through trying to understand the hormones and stuff, it's just like, go eat some more chocolate or go eat some avocado. You're like, you're just telling somebody, fill up your car with some oil. Make sure you have washer fluid in there. You're just like, that was it. Like, if you actually take care of your car, it's going to ride better, but it will stop on the side of the road if you don't take care of these things.
There's funny videos on TikTok with like the wife is freaking out and getting all mad or whatever, and the guy like goes to the drive-thru and throws food at her, and then she's all happy again.
Yeah, right.
It's true. Like with food, whether if you're hungry or like late at night, like my dad used to say, he's like, don't ever argue with a woman late at night. Like always wait till the morning. Like some pattern he picked up on.
Yeah, he's like, I know that one.
But it's so true. Like there'll be certain times of the day where like everything stresses the fuck out of you, and then other times like if that same problem would have hit you a couple hours earlier or later, like it's fine.
Right.
What the hell's going on there?
Is something wrong with you?
Stop asking me what's wrong with me. I am fine.
Are you on your period?
No, I'm not on my period!
I know how to fix this.
Can I get a 20-piece McNugget, a large fry, and a small Coke?
Take it.
Yeah, you got that